Hello, dear students. In this lecture, going to study reproduction in organisms. The chapter is related to what you have studied in class 11th. So, starting with the first term, reproduction, to be defined. So, reproduction means giving birth to the young ones. Reproduction is actually a biological phenomena or a process in which every living organism is having ability to give birth to the young ones. It means when the organism give birth to young one, that will grow, and then it is after a certain period of maturity will die. So means reproduction can be defined as a cycle of birth, growth and the death. So that means under this term or under this definition itself comes the one more word is the lifespan. Lifespan means is the period from birth to the death. Every organism is having a particular lifespan. Lifespan varies from 1 day to thousands of the years. So in this table of the certain lifespans, we have to learn the examples which is given in your NCERT book. So how to learn the table is, I am just giving you the few fingertips to learn about. So first of all, the three insects going to study about: mayfly, butterfly and a fruit fly. The lifespan of the mayfly is 1 day, and then butterfly is the 1 to 2 weeks, and fruit fly is 1 month. So I'm just again repeating, I'm giving the fingertips only to learn the table. Otherwise, in a world, so many species of every organism is there, and that lifespan varies a lot of the different species of the same organism. So mayfly, butterfly, fruit fly means what I have taken up is, how to learn it is 1 day, days को आप इकट्ठा करो तो क्या बनता है? It's a weeks, and 4 weeks, what they form? A 1 month. So easy to learn is day, week and a month. So किस किस का है ये लाइफ स्पैन? 1 day, 1 week, 1 month is mayfly, butterfly, fruit fly respectively. Correct? So it means 3 lifespan you being able to learn by this method. So take the next step to go through. Then the 2 organisms we are going to study is the plants is rice and the rose plant. Rice, which is an annual plant, understood the lifespan will be in a month only, because the plant is annual, complete lifespan in a 1 year. So that is approximately 3 to 4 months. And rose, which grows for many years, the lifespan is 5 to 7 years. So again the fingertip to learn is with the letter R and R. We finished with the 1, 2. So numerally we will consider after the 2 is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the second set to learn about. Then 3 examples we will consider together. Which one? That is the dog, cow and the horse. So I think everybody knows that these animals are domesticated animals, which you see around your places. Which one? I am repeating again. Cow, dog and the horse. The lifespan is approximately 20 to 25 years. So now we have reached to the increasing order of 25 years. So taking up the one more example is banana tree, which is having a lifespan of 25 years again. So lifespan does not mean that it is related to their size, their color, or their group. The two examples we are going to take up next is the crow and the parrot. Both are birds, same class, aves means. Size approximately is the same, the color is black or a green. But so much change, so much difference is there in their lifespan. Lifespan of the crow is 15 years while the parrot is 140 years. And the longest lifespan is of the tortoise, approximately 150 years. Then crocodile and the elephant, the big ones, animals, approximately is the 60 years. Banyan tree, is that pipal or a bargad. It grows for thousands of the years, but we have to follow the certain figure number which is given in your NCERT. So the banyan tree lifespan is approximately 300 to 500 years. So as I have already discussed with you, the basic term is the reproduction. So coming to the significance or the importance of the term reproduction. So reproduction में हर organism अगर reproduce कर रहा है, giving birth to the young ones, अगर वो नहीं करता, then what happens? The organism will die. Not only the organism, the species will become extinct. No more further generations is there. So in this sentence, I think I have covered is, or we are discussing about is, the significance of a reproduction. Means reproduction help in maintaining the continuity of species from generation to generation, and it also increase in the number of a species. So coming to the next is about the types of the reproduction. Reproduction is of two types, that is sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is that in which the two individuals is required, means biparental, and they produce the gametes, male and female gametes by meiosis. While opposite to that is the asexual reproduction in which only the one parent is required. No gamete formation, no meiosis. So asexual reproduction is usually common in unicellular or one-celled organisms. That's example included under this category is usually of the kingdom Monera and Protista, which is a unicellular group. But exceptions is again there, that is asexual reproduction in the certain examples of fungi also. So now going to take up in details about the asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is uniparental, as you have already seen in that picture. Example is amoeba. Asexual reproduction, repeating again, is a uniparental, means one parent is required. No gametes, no meiosis. So the young ones or the offsprings produced are called here as clones, which are morphologically and genetically similar. The organisms which are morphologically and genetically similar are called the clones. So next is coming to the types of the asexual reproduction. So in a tabular form, it is a bit easy to go through or to summarize the types we are going to study about in the asexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction is maybe by fission, fragmentation, regeneration, budding or vegetative propagation. Starting with the first is the fission. Now starting with the details of the asexual reproduction. Number 1, fission. Fission is of two types, binary fission and multiple fission. Binary fission is usually found in one-celled organisms belonging to the kingdom Monera and Protista. The example of the Monera is bacteria and Protista is amoeba. So now we're going to discuss about the diagram of the binary fission in amoeba. So first diagram of the amoeba, when you are going to draw in the exam, it should be label diagram. The number 1 labeling is mentioned is nucleus, and in amoeba the other labelings are, it should be labeled, it's cytoplasm, it's having a central vacuole, it's a contractile vacuole, then cytoplasm, cell membrane or food vacuole, etc. These labelings is to be mentioned in the number 1 diagram. In the pseudopodia disappears, means during the asexual reproduction, amoeba stop moving when it is going to divide. In the number 3 diagram to be labeled is nuclear material elongates. In the number 4 diagram, cytoplasmic constriction develops. These labelings is to be mentioned, can be descriptive diagram, it will be. And finally the 2 daughter cells are formed. So this question can be in the 3 marks for the diagram or explain the binary fission in amoeba with the help of the label diagram. Coming to the second is the multiple fission. Understood, the multiple fission name indicate many daughter cells are formed. Only the 2 examples for the multiple fission is, number 1 is Plasmodium, that means a malarial parasite, and second is amoeba. Amoeba during the unfavorable conditions, means when no water is there, at that time they develop 3-layered cyst wall. As you being able to see, it is in the diagram. 3-layer, I'm repeating, it's a 3-layered cyst wall they develop. And in this stage or this process, it is called encystation. And in this condition, their nucleus divides by multiple fission by many times. And after that, its nuclei develops the walls around it. And when the conditions become favorable, then its cyst wall breaks and many of the small amoebes are formed. And that amoebes formed, daughter amoebes formed, are called also as a pseudopodiospores. And the process of formation of it is called sporulation. That is in amoeba. It is only during unfavorable condition. And the another example is malarial parasite, which is in the liver when it infects the human beings, which brings about the malaria. It divides there by multiple fission. So coming to the second type of the asexual reproduction is the budding. Budding is of the 2 types, external and internal budding. External budding example, with exception it is belonging to the group fungi, is the yeast. It's a one-celled organism, although fungi is multicellular group. Yeast is the one-celled organism which divides by budding, because budding is otherwise usually common in multicellular organisms. As I know, your favorite example of the budding is hydra. So what happens in the budding is a small lateral outgrowth is formed, and that lateral outgrowth get detached from the parent and forms the new organism. Here parent remains or has the identity itself. Internal bud is formed in sponges during the unfavorable conditions, and that is called a gemule. So gemule help in overcoming the unfavorable condition as well as dispersal. It is common in spongilla, which is a freshwater sponge. As in this diagram, you know, all its totipotent cells they assemble, and their totipotent cells are called archaeocytes. And these cells they have around them is the two-layered thick wall with spicules. And at the top is the one pore called a micropyle. Through micropyle, these pores, these cells, archaeocytes, comes out and form the new daughter cells. So that is about budding. Next is fragmentation. In the fragmentation, the main parent cell or parent body breaks into the small pieces to form the new organism, which is common in hydra, sponges, starfish, etc. Next is about spores. So only the two type of spores is discussed in your this class of the plus 2 is zoospores and conidio, as you have studied many types of the spores in your 11th class. Zoospores are formed in the case of Chlamydomonas, which is the example of green algae. These zoospores are motile spores which are formed in a sac, and they have a flagella, and that motile spores they need a medium, water, for its dispersal. And second is the conidia or conidiospores formed in the penicillium and aspergillus, the examples of the kingdom fungi. They are the non-motile spores which are formed in a chains. They are formed on stalk called conidiophore. They are formed in a chains and they need a medium, that is the air, for its dispersal. In plants, asexual reproduction, better ways is called the vegetative propagation, because in it the vegetative part of the plant is used. That vegetative parts of the plant is root, stem and the leaves. The examples for it is runner, rhizome, offset, bulb, sucker, tuber, etc. These structures, they have that vegetative propagules. Vegetative propagules bears the nodes, and these nodes, when comes in contact with the soil, they produces the new plant. The example for it is, for example, potato. Potato bears the eyes, and that eyes represents the node, and the node is the point from where the shoot or the roots arise. Second example is the rhizome. Rhizome is the type of a stem ginger. It also bears the nodes. From the nodes arises the new shoot, a bud, and adventitious roots. Even from the leaf a new plant can be arise. Example for it is a bryophyllum. Its leaf notches bears the or can develop the new plant that develops adventitious roots, get separated and form a new plant. Another types is a runner, offset, bulb, sucker, etc. This method of the vegetative propagation help in farmers for its commercial propagation, production of the plants in a large scale, whether it is a strawberry, potato, ginger, etc. In a vegetative propagation, the fleshy bud is called as the bulbil. Now coming to the second type of the reproduction, that is a sexual reproduction. It is biparental, means two parents is required, one is male and other is female. It involves the formation of a gametes, that is a male and female gamete is egg and the sperm. These gametes are formed by the process of meiosis, and meiosis involves crossing over. So crossing over brings about the variations. It means in the sexual reproduction, the offsprings formed are not exact the carbon copies of their parents. They show the variations. So in these points we have covered the difference between the sexual or asexual reproduction also. Is it okay? Coming to the next. The organism which reproduces by the sexual reproduction, they have the three phases in their life. Number 1, juvenile phase or a vegetative phase. Vegetative phase is the term better we use for the plants, because in this phase, in the plants, the development of the root, stem and the leaves takes place. Means, in other words, we can say plant grow vegetatively. And for the animals, we can say it is a period of growth or maturity during which their sex organs get mature. Second phase in the sexual reproduction is the reproductive phase. So name indicate organism getting ready for the reproduction, means reproductive organs, they are now developed. In the case of a plants, in this phase, the flowering starts. So plants based upon their lifespan can be categorized into annual, biennials or the perennials. Annuals means they complete their life cycle in a 1 year. And biennial, name indicate, bi means 2. Means they complete their lifespan in a 2 years. In these two categories of the plants, there is a very clear-cut division or distinction is there of their vegetative and reproductive phases. But in the case of a perennial plants, for example, is the mango, there is not a clear-cut distinction of their reproductive phase because they grow for many years. As you know, there is a lot of exceptions is there in the biology. So regarding the flowering is also the two exceptions. Number 1 is bamboos. Bamboo plant which is a perennial plant, means which grows for many years. It grows for approximately 50 to 100 years. But it flowers only once in its lifetime. And after that it dies. So, Otherwise, if the plant is perennial, already taken up is the mango plant that produces the flowers, fruits every year. But that's why now I am considering it is an exception or unusual phenomena of the flowering plant. So what happens in the bamboo plant? It flowers only once in the lifetime, although it is perennial. One more example of the flowering plants with exception is Strobilanthes kunthiana. Common name indicate Neela Kurunji because of its color of the flowers. So beautiful flowers. This plant flowers only once in 12 years. Means these two are the exceptions. These plants, they grow for many years but flowers only once. In the case of animals in their reproductive phase, that is based on the time of the breeding, animals can be the seasonal breeders or the continuous breeders. Name indicates seasonal breeders means they breed, that is only during a particular season, particular time period of the year. Continuous breeder means they continue to breed throughout the year, all the time. In the case of animals, regarding their cyclical changes of their reproduction, the two type of the cycles is there, estrous cycle or a menstrual cycle. Estrous cycle is also called a heat period. The example for it is a non-primates. And the menstrual cycle example is the primates. So this menstrual cycle we are going to study in details in the third chapter. But still, you should know the main few points of a difference between these two cycles in the case of animals. In the menstrual cycle, there is the bleeding phase or bleeding is there. And usually no mating in this period. Example is monkeys, apes, or the human beings. Opposite to that is the estrous cycle or heat period, in which no bleeding, and usually that's a cow, dog, etc. They breed in this period only. The third phase in the sexual reproduction is the senescent phase or the old age. Name indicate the deterioration of the metabolism or all the systems is there in the last phase of the lifespan. For this, the one word is used for the slowing down of the metabolism is the concomitant changes. Concomitant changes means slowing down of the metabolism, and that old age finally leads to the death. So then the second